Okay, welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are diving into something, well, something that shapes the lives of countless people every single day. The humble routine.
That daily rhythm.
Exactly. And we've got a couple of fantastic stories from English Stories for Fluency that give us a front row seat to what happens when those carefully built structures suddenly get thrown completely off course.
Right, when things go sideways.
Yeah. So our mission is to really dig into these narratives, pull out the surprising insights, and understand maybe the power of the unplanned. Let's unpack this. First up, we meet Anna. She's 25 years old, an English teacher down in Sao Paulo, and according to the story, her mornings are pretty locked in.
Okay, like super structured.
Very. It's a
Yeah.
precise sequence. 7:44 a.m., wake up, shower, a quick smoothie, and then out the door by 7:45 sharp to catch her bus. Efficient, predictable, gets the job done.
And that predictability is key for a lot of people, right? It gives you that sense of control, sort of order to start the day. But as the story tells us, that order was about to get, well, a jolt.
Exactly. One rainy Thursday, her alarm just, well, it didn't go off. She overslept. Wakes up at 7:42 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 3 minutes before her bus usually arrives. Talk about instant stress.
Yikes.
The story paints a really clear picture of the panic.
Yeah.
She throws on clothes, skips the smoothie entirely, sprints out the door, and just watches the bus pull away. Missed it by seconds.
Ugh, that feeling. Everything's instantly wrong. The rush, the misstep. It's, yeah, completely relatable. So she's late, missed her quiet bus time, no coffee.
Right. The routine, her anchor, basically gone for the morning.
So what was her first reaction? Just frustration?
Frustration, definitely stress.
Yeah.
Everything felt kind of ruined. But here's where her story takes a really interesting turn. Instead of doing the obvious thing, like, hailing a taxi or calling an Uber to rush to school,
Fishy walked.
she chose to walk, even in the rain. Just grabbed her hoodie and umbrella.
Huh. Okay, that's a pivot. That's the key decision then in her morning chaos.
And it completely changed the experience. The story describes her walking and, starting to notice things she'd passed day after day but never truly seen.
Like what?
A tiny bookstore tucked away, a coffee shop that smelled amazing, even actually a kid dancing in the rain on the sidewalk, little moments.
It's like breaking the routine forced her to break her usual tunnel vision,
Right.
you know? She wasn't just focused on the destination anymore. The journey itself became the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And she acted on those observations,
She did.
right? She stopped at that coffee shop, got a warm croissant, these little unplanned luxuries. She even took a photo of the rainy street, just captured a moment, and found herself feeling, well, peaceful, despite being late.
That's the surprising part, isn't it? Arriving late, but feeling good.
Yeah, the story emphasizes she arrived 15 minutes late, but felt calm and happy. The walk, initially this forced alternative, became a source of, positive emotion and a shift in perspective.
And it stuck with her. It wasn't just a one-off.
No, the story finishes by saying she now intentionally walks once a week, rain or shine. She still values the structure, the routine, but she's made space for these small, unplanned adventures.
Which is a perfect setup, actually, for our next story. Different person, different life, but yeah, a very similar theme playing out, Ben.
This is Ben. He's 32, a web designer, works from home. And if Anna liked routine, then, well, the story suggests he lived by it.
Okay, sounds like he had it down to a science. What was his setup like?
Oh, it was rigid. Every single weekday, identical. 6:30 a.m. wake up, black coffee, and the story specific, no sugar.
Right.
Precise 20-minute run, a cold shower,
No, is right.
2 eggs and toast while reading emails, and then work starts at 8 a.m. on the dot. That kind of structure, especially working from home, takes some serious discipline.
It certainly does. It probably eliminates decision fatigue, creates that clear boundary between, morning and work. But what happens when that kind of rigid structure meets the unpredictable?
Well, it collapses spectacularly. Just like Anna. Ben forgot to set his alarm one Wednesday, woke up at 9 a.m.
Oh, wow. Not just a few minutes late.
No, a whole hour and a half past his intended start. For him, this was like a perceived disaster, total derailment.
Yeah, I can imagine. The story really captures the chaos of his morning after that, then.
It does. He's panicking. He jumps on a Zoom call still with bedhead, in pajamas.
Oh, no.
Spills orange juice all over his laptop, classic.
Yeah.
The cat walks across the keyboard right in the middle of a client call. Everything his routine usually prevented just happened all at once.
Okay, so that sounds like the polar opposite of Anna's peaceful discovery walk. His initial disruption was pure chaos. pure stress.
Totally. But the fascinating turn in his story is the decision he makes after that initial panic settles a bit.
Right. What does he do? Try and force the routine back?
No, actually, instead of trying to cram missteps in or salvage the plan, he just let go. The story says he decided to forget the routine and just go with the flow.
That's a huge mental shift, isn't it? Especially for someone so reliant on control. So what did going with the flow actually look like for Ben that day?
He did things he'd never normally do on a workday. Ordered breakfast from a local cafe instead of making his usual eggs.
Okay.
He worked from his balcony, actually enjoyed the change of scenery, took breaks whenever he felt like it, not watching the clock. And get this, during lunch, he actually watched a movie.
Whoa. Completely outside his usual structure. And the result of this unplanned, chaotic, but ultimately flexible day.
The story says he was happier. He actually had better ideas. He felt freer. The disruption after that initial stress hurdle led to a day that felt more creative and, I guess, less constrained.
So by the end of it, the realization for Ben, much like Anna, was that while routines are valuable for structure, for organization, as the stories show, maybe that strict rigidity can be limiting.
Yeah, seems so.
That flexibility, or allowing for spontaneity, that has significant power too. His new approach, as described, still has structure, but it incorporates variety. Mixing up activities, not being tied to exact times.
Even adding milk to his coffee sometimes. A small thing, but symbolic.
Exactly. He learned the value of allowing those small surprises in.
So, okay, let's connect the dots here. What does this all really mean? We've looked at Anna's accidental walk in Sao Paulo, Ben's chaotic, unplanned workday. Two totally different people, different contexts.
Right, different cities, different jobs.
But the core experience is strikingly similar, isn't it? Both had their pretty rigid morning routines broken unexpectedly. Oversleeping in both cases.
And both felt that initial shock, that stress, that negative reaction to things not going according to plan. That seems pretty universal.
Definitely. But the key turning point in both narratives is that they then chose to lean into the change. They didn't just fight it or try to force the old structure back immediately.
Yeah, Anna walked. Ben decided to embrace the flow. They adapted.
And that choice, that adaptation, unlocked surprising positive outcomes for both of them. Anna found that unexpected peace, a new way to see her surroundings, which led her to intentionally incorporate walks later.
And Ben found greater happiness, creative freedom, actually had better ideas, which led him to build more flexibility into his routine going forward.
What's really fascinating here, I think, is that the disruption wasn't just an inconvenience they overcame. It actually acted as a catalyst.
A catalyst? How so?
Well, it forced them out of their autopilot, their predictable paths. And in doing that, it opened them up to seeing things differently, experiencing different emotions.
Even being productive in new ways, like Ben's better ideas. Ways the rigid routine might have maybe unintentionally suppressed.
Exactly. It really highlights that structure is useful, no doubt, but maybe too much rigidity can blind you to alternative, potentially richer experiences or ways of thinking.
So this raises a pretty important question when we think about the value we place on routines. They're clearly presented as beneficial for organization, efficiency.
Sure, keeps things on track.
But these stories make us ask, what's the cost of zero flexibility? What kind of observations or moments of peace like Anna found, or creative thoughts like Ben had, or even just simple feelings of freedom? What are we missing when we never deviate from the script, even slightly?
Yeah, what opportunities just pass us by?
And maybe, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the real strength isn't just in having a perfectly rigid routine, but in cultivating the capacity to adapt when it inevitably breaks. Or maybe even intentionally breaking it sometimes. Is peak productivity or well-being really found in that unwavering predictability, or is it more about finding a dynamic balance? Structure providing the foundation, sure, but spontaneity, allowing for discovery and, well, newness.
Thinking about you, the listener now, how does this resonate with your own life? Is your routine mostly a comforting structure that keeps you organized, or are there times where, it feels more like a limitation, maybe a cage?
Yeah, what stands out to you from Anna finding that unexpected peace on her walk, or Ben discovering freedom and new ideas when his perfect day fell apart? Is there something there for you?
We've taken a deep dive into these two stories, exploring how these unexpected disruptions to daily routines led to some surprisingly positive outcomes. Anna and Ben's experiences, as described in our sources, they really underline that sometimes. Sometimes the most valuable moments, the best insights, come when things just don't go according to plan.
Mm-hmm. Routines are powerful tools, absolutely, for organization, for stability. But maybe the truest strength lies in knowing when to pivot, look around, and just allow life to throw you a curveball now and then.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Could allowing just one small, unplanned thing into your day, or maybe this week, could that open up a perspective you didn't even know you were missing? Something to think about. Thanks for exploring this with us.